for conversion of national ID numbers into tax identification numbers beginning tomorrow, April 1. We'll hear from the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority.
There's a issue of having a united one card for Ghana. And so for us in Ghana Revenue Authority, it's an important step for us because it gives us a huge database where we can now start engaging the people who are registered.
Bank of Ghana denies breaching borrowing cap by lending more than 10 billion cedis to government in 2020. Also ahead on the Joy Business Van, tonight we'll tell you how a fashion startup, Leather on Call, is creating a marketplace for cork products. Thanks for being with us tonight. Details right after this break. Just saw cocoa and gold recovering from initial losses yesterday, especially for cocoa following that $89 loss from trading yesterday. That was a quick look at the commodity market. Let's get straight to our stories for you tonight. The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has expressed readiness for the conversion of the national ID numbers into tax ID numbers starting tomorrow, April 1, 2021. President Akufo-Addo, in his State of the Nation address earlier this month, reiterated that the Ghana card was going to serve as a primary card for individual registrations in the country, a situation expected to ensure seamless transactions. In an interview with Joy Business after the inspection of some offices equipped for the exercise, Commissioner General of the GRA, Reverend Amishadai Osu Amwa, expressed optimism the move will improve revenue collection.
There has been the need for us to see as a tax authority or as a nation how we can increase the number of tax payers and also to ensure that our revenue base as a nation also increases towards our goal of increasing the revenue to GDP ratio. Now, the starting point for even paying tax is to first to register, and to get more people to register and to get more people on the database. This is an opportunity for us to be able to get those people who have registered for the Ghana card to automatically become registered taxpayers. Number two, it's also for us as a country avoid the situation where you go here and they'll say, what is your tax identification number? And go to another place, say, what is your Ghana card now? It goes, and so there's a issue of having a united one card for Ghana. And so for us in Ghana Revenue Authority, it's an important step for us because it gives us a huge database where we can now start engaging the people who are registered and then trying to also now identify how they can comply with tax and then also to see which tax types they are eligible or they are supposed to pay, and then we'll be able to get the tax type for them. So what we have done today, because as you are aware, the starting date is the 1st of April, and tomorrow is 1st April. So we have made sure that the offices are ready, and 14 of the offices are ready, and we have already set them up. And so what you saw today is the NIA team who are co-locating with us and are working together with us. So they will do the process, and then by the time the process comes to an end, it automatically feeds into our system to ensure that your Ghana card will also become your TIN.
All right, so the national ID being converted to TIN, that's beginning tomorrow, April 1. Now, the Bank of Ghana has denied lending to government more than what was approved by Parliament last year. Now, Parliament in 2020 gave government a borrowing cap of 10 billion cedis from the central bank. However, the 2021 budget statement showed the Bank of Ghana lent 22.5 billion cedis to government. The minority is raising red flags about the issue, insisting the governor will be asked to appear before the House to answer questions. Philip Abradu Otu is Director of Research at the Bank of Ghana.
Was that we just did 10 billion Ghana cedis to government to support the budget and to meet expenses that had come about as a result of the COVID.
But why is it that I go through the government financing operation and I see 22.5, that adage that numbers don't lie or the book don't. The numbers here suggest that you have financed more than 10 billion to government.
Well, it's the way the accounts are structured. Let me give you a breakdown of that 22 point. You said it's what, 22.5? Yeah, let me give you a breakdown of that 22.5, and then I'll take my time to walk you through each of the lines.
I'm saying that this is more than 10 billion.
Well, it's more than 10 billion, but the whole 22.5 is not high-powered money that was taken out of the central bank and given to government.
Okay.
10 billion of that amount is as a result of the asset purchase program. Then we also have the IMF rapid credit facility. You may recall that at the height of the pandemic, the IMF made available resources to help low-income countries and some middle-income countries to help deal with the pandemic. Ghana got $1 billion out of that amount. Now, the way the accounts and the way in which the resources came into the government, the IMF indicated clearly that it should be treated as a budget support. The problem is that the IMF does not deal with government. The IMF deals with government through the central bank. So what the IMF did was that it lent the money to the central bank, and the central bank then unlent the money to government. So the monies hit our reserves. We gave government the CD deposits, put it in the account, and then at the same time, because we lent the monies to government, we created a claim on government. So that extra $1 billion, which amounted to, I think, 5.587 billion Ghana cedis, in the books of the central bank, will be seen as a lending that the central bank had done to government. But in reality, the base source of the money came from the IMF. It came from the IMF to Bank of Ghana, and then we unlent the money to. And we had to show it explicitly in our line as a claim on government. That is another extra 5.5 billion, which is adding up to the 10 billion that we did.
Now, Ghana's only agric bank, ADB, registered a profit of 65 million cedis, about 194% year-on-year growth for last year. This was as a result of significant growth in its interest income, whilst keeping interest expense down. Charles Nixon Yabua perused the 2020 financial statement of the bank and has more.
All its income lines, despite the impact of COVID-19 on businesses. It was one of the few banks that was involved in loans and advancement amid the coronavirus. This was demonstrated in significant growth in interest income, as well as fees and commissions, despite a jump in its bad debt from 15 million cedis to 23 million cedis. Shareholders of the bank will be smiling following the remarkable growth in profit, as earnings per share went up to 24.99 pesos per share from 5.66 pesos in 2019. The bank, importantly, has seen a swift turnaround under the leadership of Dr. John Kofi Mensah. The balance sheet size hit 10.5 billion cedis at the end of December last year, as against 8.3 billion cedis in 2019. For the financial soundness indicators, ADB recorded a liquidity ratio of 117%, but non-performing loans were still high at 34%, though had seen some 6 percentage points drop. The bank, however, is now very stable and stronger.
The University of Ghana Business School and its partners, including the Improving Financial Awareness and Financial Movement in Ghana, have launched the commemoration of April as Financial Literacy Month. This is to raise awareness about the importance of financial literacy education and empower individuals to make informed and effective financial decisions. There's more in the following report. At the launch to dedicate the month of April as Financial Literacy and Awareness Creation, Head of Financial Stability at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Joseph Franz, said the high rate of financial illiteracy in Ghana largely contributes to the increased number of financial fraud cases in the country.
The general literacy rate of the country, as per a UNESCO report on literacy of adult population in emerging countries, which showed an increase from 71.5% in 2010 to 79.04% in 2018, has unfortunately not translated into the improvement of the financial literacy rate in Ghana. We have been told by Prof. It's 38%, isn't it? So we're talking of literacy of almost 80%, and financial literacy is 38%. Vast gap. So we have a job to do. The effects have been the increased number of victims of financial fraud, loss of funds and property, and increased number of complaints from the general public.
Engaging Joy Business on the sidelines of the launch, Dean of the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Justice Bawale, indicated that the lack of financial literacy contributes to the high percentage of non-performing loans. However, Professor Bawale believes intensifying education on financial awareness is the way to go.
So if we're going for a loan to do business and you are being offered 30% or more as the interest rate, what it means is that you are going to fail. But of course, the financial institution that is giving you the money is looking to collect their interest and move on. So that leads to a lot more non-performing loans that we are unable to recover. And gradually, that has meant that several of them who default to pay will now compound the problem for us, because the bank will now assess risk at higher levels and therefore increase. And so in the end, the entire financial sector gets toxified, and so everybody benefits or suffers from the toxicity, because some people have made decisions that have not been wholesome. And so we think that going out there and telling people, and we declared the month of April at Financial Literacy Month, we think that it will help us to reach out to people on how to manage their personal finances.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Bankers, John Ewa, said that banks must work together and collaborate on different levels to ensure financial inclusion.
If we work together, cooperate and coordinate our efforts, that is when we are better able to bring along our actors, other market participants in this financial inclusion agenda, and particularly improving financial awareness and literacy is of prime importance to banks. If we deal with customers who have knowledge about the products we sell, then we know exactly that the uptake of our products will not come back to hurt us in terms of other non-performing loans or other problems that may happen at the end of the day, because the users of our product will have better appreciation of the product characteristics and features, and therefore they'll be better informed to make their own choices.
A series of events have been lined up by the University of Ghana Business School with participation of industry players to observe the Financial Literacy and Awareness Month. Nicholas Brown's report for Joy Business. All right, we are turning to some news from the energy sector. I'm afraid to tell you that you'll be paying more from electricity effective the 1st of June. Now, this follows a request for examination and approval of non-tariff service charges submitted by the Electricity Company of Ghana and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company. The proposed rate, according to a statement by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, has been examined and is in line with the prevailing market prices for the various cost items, service charges and economic indicators. The rates are, however, subject to approval by the board of the commission once duly constituted. Meanwhile, the Institute for Energy Security is warning that the recent power challenges pose a threat to the rebooting of the economy. In a statement, it said even though the issue of power outages is never a new thing to the economy, the current challenge requires swift intervention. It is therefore urged government to ensure that the cash flow constraints which make it difficult for the power transmitter GridCo and the distributors to improve on their networks is swiftly addressed. Also in the news tonight, Chief Executive or Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa, is raising concerns that Hassan Tampoli is still running affairs at the National Petroleum Authority despite assuming the role of Member of Parliament for the Gushegu constituency. COPEC says it cited correspondence from Hassan Tampoli to the MPA despite his new role, which is a breach of the corporate governance laws of public institutions. Here's Duncan Amwa.
I would have expected that he would have resigned to contest that public office, but that was not done. Then, thankfully, he wins and gets sworn in as a representative of the people of Gushegu. The expectation again would have been that he would have given way to another person to also start working in the interest of Ghanaians so that he could focus a lot more on his new role as a parliamentarian representing Gushegu. We say this on the back of the fact that conflict of interest situations would somehow abound. If you look at the fact that NPA would definitely work as a government institution, and where answers are needed by parliamentarians, you would expect the CEO to be in a hurry to provide these answers. If the same CEO doubles as an MP, without necessarily going to the committee on members, on members of parliament engaged in profit business, then there's probably some breach there.
All right, we are following the story, still developing. We'll report the updates as and when there are new things to report. Now to the Joy Business Van. Tonight, fashion startup Leather on Call is doing much more than manufacturing accessories. It is creating a marketplace for cork products to show the world that our everyday fashion choices can have a positive impact on the environment. The Joy Business Van engages CEO of Leather on Call, Stephen Chase, upon tonight. He is promoting the cork culture. Watch this.
Hello, Joy Business Van. My name is Stephen Chase Upon. Welcome to Leather on Call Ghana Limited.
Leather on Call started as an importer of leather accessories.
So predominantly, we started from sourcing leather materials or leather products from India to sell in Ghana through our online shops. All right, so basically, that's how Leather on Call started.
While Stephen imported the leather products, his interest in making fashion accessories locally grew.
So I remember getting a cobbler from Kumasi and we're like, boss, you can start with one sewing machine, you can start with one grinding machine, but trust me, I sat down, read more about it, and trust me, it was a whole lot of things, you know, from rent of office spaces, getting machineries, and getting the craftsmen as well. It was so difficult from that stage, but it was a gradual process, you know.
Gradually, Stephen got a hold of things and was soon producing his own accessories. Leather on Call began to catch the eye of the public with these customized leather products. But as Leather on Call grows, Stephen has become more conscious about using sustainable materials to make his products. Not surprising because of his background as an environmentalist.
For you to get a single leather sheet, trust me, a cow needs to be killed, or a horse needs to be killed, or crocodile needs to be killed, and all that. So from that educational background point of view, as I've always had that sustainability environmental bit part of me in every decision I make. Let them put it that way. So we can say that at an average shoe, synthetic latest foam or whatever the insoles cost about 20% material of a shoe. The rest is pure leather. So imagine how many cows or many animals you have to unskin to do shoes.
Stephen then started experimenting with the use of cork materials for his fashion accessories. Cork is formed from the bark of a cork oak tree. One of the most famous uses of cork is in making cork crowns. You'll notice that most wine bottles use a cork as a plug.
I get them from hotels and restaurants, and the part of last year it was very, very difficult for me sourcing them. I ended up I had to source some of them for my frames, for instance. I use the stoppers, cut them and frame them very nicely using the recycled pallets, container pallets to do the framing on that. But to turn it in a sheet form with it's also requires a lot of work, and even sourcing the material itself is also very, very difficult. So I think that's the only challenge in using the cork material for our products.
Steven uses the cork materials for just about anything: shoes, slippers, wallets, bags, book covers. The use of cork has distinguished him from others in the business of producing fashion accessories. He says patronage is also very impressive as the public begins to appreciate eco-friendly products. Leather on Coal's products are now 70% cork, 30% leather.
Actually, user-friendly. You can wash it. You can easy to dry. You cannot do that to leather because leathers are dyed, to black, to brown, to coffee or whatever. But cork comes in its real natural state, which makes it more sustainable, more user-friendly.
Leather on Coal is taking its eco-friendly business to a new level. It started making gift items with the use of recycled materials like pallets. That aspect of the business is also catching on, boosted by social media.
We are growing. We are growing steadily, and as rightly said, all the various channels help us to also get to the international market as well. Currently, we do shipments to UK, we do Netherlands, we do Canada, and Liberia. So it is not been bad. We will be getting calls. We will be getting that kind of positive feedback of they wanting more of us. All right, so we are taking it at a very good pace.
Just exciting that you're protecting the environment by not using animal leather. Well, that takes us to the subject of climate change, and the Resident Director and Head of Economic Policy Competence Center at FES Ghana, Johan Ivanov, is urging government to consider recommendations from academia, researchers and experts on mitigating the impact of climate change on sustainable employment creation. Now, quoting statistics from the International Labour Organization on the impact of climate change on jobs lost, Johan Ivanov said Ghana will suffer the loss of about 1 million jobs, equivalent to 5.58% loss of working hours by 2030. Here's more in this report by Martina Bugri.
Johnson Ivanov said this at a two-day conference organized by the youth advocacy rights organization YARO with support from the Frederick Evans Stiff Tank Ghana on the impact of climate change on job loss.
So I have mentioned a report by the International Labour Organization, the ILO, and it is called Working on a Warmer Planet. It's a report from 2019. And there are different projections on the impact of heat stress on working hours and how many working hours will be lost due to heat stress. And as far as I know, the number for Ghana is 1 million jobs will be lost due to heat stress in different industries, in agriculture, in construction, and also in other sectors as well. So that's the number from ILO.
He said even though the emissions that results in climate change do not emit from sub-Saharan Africa, governments still need to have a comprehensive discussion with the right stakeholders.
Well, I think the government must take the advices from academics and researchers and other experts seriously. And it's very important to have a conversation between the decision makers and the experts on what can be done for adaptation and what can be done to mitigate the impact of climate change. I think, of course, the emissions, most of the emissions are not, that are causing global warming, are not from sub-Saharan Africa, but they are still affecting the region. And that's why we need to think about adaptation strategies. We need to think what will happen to the people in the agricultural sector, what will happen when people are losing their jobs and losing, also losing crops due to the effects of global warming.
All right, and that's Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com. My name is Darryl. I'll see you same time tomorrow.